The Accidental Counsellor training shows you how to connect and influence positive change in people without burning out. If you find yourself responding to people's emotional distress without formal counselling qualifications, you're an accidental counsellor. You have difficult conversations, often in your role. Perhaps you're a member of a school staff, or perhaps an allied health professional community service worker. Regardless, you support the people in your care, and that can mean responding to their pain and suffering. Hi, my name is Rocky Biasi, and I created the Accidental Counsellor training back in 2008 because of my experience as a high school teacher, school counsellor, also in private practice. Since that time, I've presented the Accidental Counsellor training to over 10,000 people from both school and non-school sectors, both face-to-face and online, across Australia, New Zealand and Southeast Asia. The Accidental Counsellor training I've created is a solutions-focused approach to counselling, coaching and mentoring. It has a focus on client strengths and possibilities rather than problems and weaknesses. There are two ways that you can access the Accidental Counsellor training: face-to-face in a city near you, or you can invite us to run the training in-house for your staff or team. You can also access the training online, both in real time and in your own time at your own pace. In this short video, I'll share with you 3 critical aspects of being an accidental counsellor through the Accidental Counsellor Model. The Accidental Counsellor training has 3 critical components. I say that your presence animates the entire model, and what I mean by presence is the experience that we've all had when you can meet someone for the very first time and either have a very negative defensive reaction where you really want to remove yourself from the person's presence for whatever reason, or you can have a very positive experience or reaction and feel really comfortable in the person's presence. So presence animates the entire model. There are 3 core components. The first one is influence. And by influence, what I mean here is that oftentimes one of the problems that I see with accidental counsellors is that we can be tempted to rush in to give advice and suggestions and solutions. And I have some catchphrases here that may help. I say ask, don't tell. And what I mean by that is ask solution-focused questions that helps the person paint their own picture of what I describe their next best step, rather than giving unsolicited advice, suggestions and solutions. Because when we do that, there are 2 real problems that I see. First of all of the research shows that when we tell people what to do and give advice and suggestions, their motivation for doing that lessens. The other problem that I see is that there's an unintended consequence. When we're constantly giving advice and telling people what to do, not only does their motivation and engagement lessen, but it can send this message that the person's not capable to deal with the issue themselves. They've got to come to you. So that's the problem I see. So we say ask, don't tell people what to do. Ask solution-focused questions. Now, before we do any of that, we really need to form a connection. And I'm not talking about rapport here, because I believe that if you're watching this video, you understand that to be an accidental counsellor, of course we have to have rapport. I'm speaking about actually getting in the pit with the person. Specifically, I'm talking about 3 things: acknowledge, validate, and normalize the communication that you're receiving. Connect with their pain and suffering. Connect in a way that the person feels heard and understood, that there's a felt sense within their body that she gets it, he understands. When that happens, well, then they're much more receptive to be able to take on board and receive the solution-focused questions that you may ask. So connect before we ask solution-focused questions. Now, when we get in the pit and we connect with people's upset and pain so they feel heard and understood, that can be draining, and it can take a toll on you, the accidental counsellor. And that's why the 3rd aspect of the Accidental Counsellor training model that I've created is about your own well-being and self-care. And my simple definition for that is what brings good, sustainable energy to you. So really, the influence in asking the solution-focused type questions should be the last part of the process. Before that, number 2, we need to form that connection. And if we're going to form a connection effectively, we need to be able to look after our own well-being and self-care so we have the energy to get in the pit and be present when the person is talking about their upset. So just to summarize a little further here, we want to ask solution-focused questions because the person feels much more motivated. They would then take ownership and responsibility, and it's a much more empowering way rather than telling people what to do. We want to get in the pit and acknowledge and validate and normalize what it is that we're hearing, because when that happens, the person feels understood, they trust you more, they feel more safe, and they begin to calm down. The biggest transformation that I see is that then they feel less alone. They feel heard and understood. They're not so alone. Looking after yourself and your own well-being is a very important protective factor. It builds your capacity to be able to get in the pit and be present and listening to those stories of upset. And it enhances and creates balance in your own life. So click on the view training options above this video to see how you can either attend in person in a city near you, or by hosting us at your school or workplace, or you may prefer to access the training online at your own pace, in your own time, and also attend a training online in real time.